Imagine stepping into a world where the air hums with untamed life, and every rustle in the bush could be the whisper of something extraordinary. For Emily Carter, a young American student from California, this wasn't just a dream, it was her destiny. Fascinated by wild nature since childhood, she longed to truly immerse herself in its raw beauty. Her path led her to South Africa, a land synonymous with breathtaking biodiversity, and into the heart of Kruger National Park. But what began as an academic adventure quickly transformed into an unimaginable test of courage and connection. Emily was about to discover that some lessons aren't learned in textbooks, but in the thrilling, unpredictable embrace of the wild, where a single, unexpected encounter could redefine everything she thought she knew about nature and herself. Emily Carter, an American student from California, was deep into her wildlife research major. From her earliest memories, wild nature had captivated her, a constant whisper of a world she longed to truly touch. As her course neared its end, students chose a real-world project in a biodiverse country. For Emily, the choice was clear. South Africa. The very name echoed with untamed beauty and countless creatures. She booked her flight, sorted her papers, and set off for the iconic Kruger National Park. The long flight was a blur of turning pages, books on the ecology and behavior of big cats. With each paragraph, her heart quickened, anticipation building for the promising journey ahead. Emily arrived on a sun-drenched afternoon, met by the warm smiles of the sanctuary staff. Her main guide was Mr. Sifo, a seasoned ranger who knew every hidden path, every whispering bush in that vast wilderness. Their adventure began immediately, delving deep into the forest during the early summer rainy season, a time of vibrant life. On their very first day, the sky abruptly turned a sullen grey and the heavens opened. Rain lashed down, making the forest floor slick and treacherous. Yet Emily and Mr. Sifo pressed on, navigating through shoulder-high bushes. Emily, undeterred, stood in the downpour, diligently taking notes, snapping photos of paw prints in the mud, and listening to the distant chorus of chirping birds. Every step was a fresh discovery, awakening all her senses. Sifo shared thrilling tales of his encounters with elusive black panthers and whispered mystical jungle lore. They ventured deeper, veering into less traveled areas, driven to observe hunting habits during the rainy season. The rain intensified, soaking their clothes, yet their enthusiasm remained unyielding. Suddenly, a deafening thunderclap ripped through the air, startling Emily, as strong winds tore through the canopy, sending trees crashing down. In her haste to find shelter, she spun around, but Mr. Sifo was gone. She called out his name, her voice swallowed by the drumming rain and the cold, vast silence of the forest. Emily fought to stay calm, fumbling for her compass and map, only to find them soaked and useless. She sought refuge beneath a massive tree, clinging to the hope that Sifo would find her once the storm broke. But the rain persisted, each heavy drop a drumbeat against her fragile courage. Fear began to coil in her stomach, but she knew panic was a luxury she couldn't afford here. She groped her way forward, drawn by the faint sound of flowing water, hoping to find a familiar river. As she neared the bank, she recognized the section of river from the conservation area map she'd meticulously studied. Emily sank to the ground, leaning against a tree trunk, a soft sigh escaping her lips, her hands caked in mud and exhaustion. Suddenly, a faint cry, unmistakably that of a big cat, echoed from upstream. She looked up, utterly stunned, to see a tiny black panther cub being swept away by the raging floodwaters. Without a second thought, she hurled her backpack aside and plunged into the churning current. The water surged against her chest, but Emily pushed on, reaching out and grasping the small, struggling body. The cub thrashed, its tiny claws scratching in panic, but Emily held on, refusing to let go. She stumbled to her feet, dragging the small animal to safety, both of them drenched and panting. Using a towel from her backpack, she gently dried the shivering cub, murmuring words of comfort. The cub trembled, its large, round eyes gazing at her as if understanding she had just saved its life. Emily cradled it on her lap, shielding it from the rain with her own body. Her heart pounded, a maelstrom of emotions swirling within her. She believed she had done the right thing, yet had no idea what fate awaited them. Suddenly from behind came the heavy thud of footsteps squelching in the mud. Emily's head snapped up, her heart seizing as four magnificent adult black panthers emerged from the dense foliage, approaching them. She quickly placed the cub on the ground, pressing herself against the tree, so paralyzed by fear she could barely breathe. The adult leopard stopped. Not a growl, not a threat, just silent, profound observation. The cub bounded towards a female leopard, rubbing its head against her neck like a child seeking its mother. Tongues licked the cub's fur, intimate gestures brimming with emotion. Emily slowly understood. She had saved the child the leopards had been frantically searching for all morning. The mother leopard looked at her, her eyes devoid of resentment, calm and deeply profound, as if conveying silent gratitude. The entire family turned, seemingly intending to retreat, leaving the girl still breathless by the tree, but after only a few steps, they stopped and looked back. The cub padded closer to Emily, gently licking her hand as if delivering a silent message. The mother leopard bowed her head, then took a few more steps before turning back, as if signaling Emily to follow. The girl was bewildered, yet an undeniable intuition told her she should follow. Emily rose, treading softly behind the leopards, an unexpected guest in their wild world. Through the dense foliage, through the mud that clung to her feet, the leopards led her on an unfamiliar path. No one spoke, no roar, only the rhythmic patter of rain and the soft tread of the wild. Finally, a paved road cutting across the reserve came into view. Tears welled in Emily's eyes. She had found her way back to civilization, a place where she could call for help. Emily turned back, bowing slightly, and waved a silent thank you to her strange, wild companions. The leopard stood motionless, observing her one last time, then slowly turned and melted back into the distant fields. She stood there for a long time, still reeling from the miracle she had just experienced. The forest wind ghosted across her cheeks, carrying the scent of wet earth and an indescribable feeling of profound connection. About 30 minutes later, a farmer's pickup truck rumbled down the road. Emily ran out, waving frantically and shouting for them to stop in the fading light. The driver, a kind, weathered old South African man, opened the door, his eyes wide with surprise. She recounted the story in fragments, her voice still trembling. From the shock, the farmer was stunned, shaking his head in disbelief. "It's like a real-life fairy tale," he murmured, adding that in all his years no one had ever heard such a touching story between a human and a leopard. The car took her back to the reserve headquarters. In the warm, pale afternoon light, the staff opened the gate, their faces a mixture of surprise and relief to see Emily return, drenched but with shining eyes. Mr. Sifo rushed to embrace her, hardly believing his student had survived such an ordeal in the heart of the forest. She recounted every detail, every step, every emotional glance from the leopards. Everyone fell silent when she described the cub licking her hand and the pack leading her back to the main road. They looked at the photo she still had on her phone, the cub's clear, trusting eyes moving everyone who saw them. Emily meticulously documented her entire experience in a report titled "A Journey Between Darkness and Faith." Her thesis was sent directly to the university, corroborated by the Conservation Management Board. The story quickly spread among students and researchers passionate about the human-nature connection. She became a living symbol of love for nature and courage in the face of the unexpected. Emily has since been invited to present at international conferences on wildlife conservation and behavior. Photos of the cub flashed across screens in grand halls as she recounted her tale, her eyes brimming with pride and gratitude. Her story was even adapted into a powerful documentary airing on major platforms. Whenever South Africa is mentioned, people still remember the girl who was guided by a family of black leopards. Emily continues her research, but in her heart, Kruger will always be the magical place where her true journey began. From the heart-pounding rescue to the tear-jerking reunion and the unforgettable guidance provided by the leopards themselves, Emily's journey redefined her understanding of wildlife conservation and humanity's place in the natural world. Her experience became a viral sensation, leading to international recognition and a powerful documentary.